Those greatest hits are here. You are listening to Cool FM, live from Cool Studios. This is koolNews Primetime.
Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews Primetime. I'm Kyrie. Let's get into the top headlines for tonight. A 67-year-old woman was reportedly abducted by two men in Makati City on September 17, according to police. In a report on Sunday, the Southern Police District said the victim was supposed to meet her friend when two men approached her and covered her nose with a cloth containing a substance that made her unconscious. Citing the victim's account, police her abductors allegedly held her in a room. No details were revealed as to what the suspects did to the victim, but on September 20, police said she was placed again in a vehicle where she pretended to be dead. The suspects then dumped her, hence tied with a rope with duct tape on her mouth, in Barangay F. De Castro and Cavite, where a guard found her. The SPD reported that the guard immediately reported it to authorities and sought the assistance of barangay officials. The victim underwent a medical examination and was clear of any injuries. She likewise turned over a phone believed to be left by one of the suspects. Authorities already conducted backtracking of available CCTV footage and inspection of the place where the victim was found. Criminal complaints were filed against the owners and crew of two vessels involved in the illegal transfer of amatfil or pahi modus at the Novatas Fishport, according to the Bureau of Customs. In a statement on Sunday, the BOC said that cases were filed against operators of the Anti-Tree Trust and MT Mega and solely for violations of the Customs Modernization and Thrift Act, the National Internal Revenue Code, and the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion. It added that 9 crew of MT3 Trust, 16 crew members of MT Mega and Solili, and unnamed owners of the vessels at the smuggled field will face the complaint. Citing the affidavit, the agency disclosed that the vessels were caught smuggling the unmarked fuel. Before this, the items aboard the ships underwent a field mark testing by Enforcement Group field marking agents and yielded field results. The respondents were engaged in the illegal transportation of undocumented fuel given the results of a field market testing, which resulted in failed results and their failure to present a withdrawal certificate and other pertinent documents evidencing fuel marking and payment of correct duties and taxes for the fuel in their possession, the affidavit said. Thus, all fuel that is properly imported is fuel marked. On the contrary, unmarked fuel is presumed to be illegally imported, it added. The agency revealed that the MT3 Trust and MT Mega and Solili contained 320,463 liters and 39,884 liters of diesel fuel, respectively. This amounts to 715,350,000 pesos. As we earlier reported, the unmarked fuel found in those two vessels amounted to 20.35 million pesos, while the MT3 Trust was valued at 245 million pesos and the MT Mega and Solili at 450 million pesos, POC Customs Intelligence and Investigation Service Director Ferdinand Ancico said. The captains on both vessels failed to submit bunkering permits when authorities asked for one. Aside from this, Mega Petroleum's directors, corporate officers, and other responsible officers will also face complaints related to the case. As for the registered owner of these two vessels, we will not let them escape liability because whether or not they were aware of the circumstances of the vessels being involved in the Pahi modus, they must still face legal consequences for allowing the use of their vessels in transporting smuggled fuel, Intelligence Group Deputy Commissioner Juby Max always said. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa should stop hiding behind Vice President Sara Duterte's skirt and address the allegations against him in connection with former President Rodrigo Duterte administration's drug war. Anti-Polo 2nd District Representative Romo Acop made the statement after De La Rosa claimed that former Iloilo City Mayor Jet Patrick Mabilog's testimony during the court committee was part of the demolition job targeting the Vice President and her allies ahead of the 2028 elections. There's no demolition job here, only the legitimate questions that need clear answers, Acop said. Acop is the vice chair of the court committee. Senator De La Rosa should be man enough to face the facts and take responsibility instead of hiding behind VP Sara's skirt, he dared the senator. He likewise reiterated that the hearings focus on unveiling the truth behind the extrajudicial killings and human rights violations during Duterte's war on drugs and its connections to illegal Philippine offshore gaming operators and the drug trade. Former Mayor Malibog's testimony is crucial. Our goal is to craft laws that will put an end to these crimes, not to play political games, he added. Mabilog testified that he was forced to falsely accuse former Senators Franklin Dillon and Mar Roxas of being drug lords at the height of Duterte's controversial anti-drug campaign. He also revealed that he and his family received threats after the former president falsely branded him a protector of the drug trade. De La Rosa, who led Duterte's bloody drug war as former Philippine National Police Chief, dismissed the House investigation as a fishing expedition. Echoing what Upcop said, Manila 6th District Representative Bienvenido Abante Jr. also dismissed De La Rosa's statement. Senator De La Rosa's claim of demolition job and fishing expedition are far from the truth. Our committee is committed to addressing systematic problems, and this investigation is about holding those responsible accountable, not playing politics, Abante said. As legislators, it is our duty to seek justice for the victims of illegal drug operations and expose the syndicates behind them. If we fail to do so, more Filipinos will continue to suffer, he added. Abante also challenged De La Rosa to accept the Quad Committee's investigation and reveal his side of Magdalag's claim. Our doors are always open to those who wish to provide the Quadcom with information that will help us accomplish our task, he said. The Quad Committee consists of 4 House panels: the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, the Committee on Public Order and Safety, the Committee on Public Accounts, and the Committee on Human Rights. The House of Representatives is scheduled to approve the proposed 2025 national budget on third and final reading on Wednesday, September 25, since the plenary debates on September 16. Speaker Ramin Mardio-Altes said that the scheduled approval before the lower chamber goes on recess would give the Senate enough time for its own debate passage process. We have sufficient time to finally agree on the budget before year-end. It is the most important piece of legislation Congress passes every year, he said in a statement on Sunday. Next year's spending legislation will serve as our tool for sustained economic development. It will support the agenda for prosperity programs of President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr., he added. So far, the lower chamber already approved the proposed funding of the following departments, including their attached agencies: Department of Finance, Department of Justice, National Economic and Development Authority, the Judiciary, Office of the Ombudsman, Commission on Human Rights, Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of Tourism, Department of Labor and Employment, Commission on Elections, Department of Agrarian Reform, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Trade and Industry, Department of National Defense, Department of Migrant Workers, Presidential Communications Office, Department of Science and Technology, Metro Manila Development Authority, and state colleges and universities and government corporations. Below is the list of agencies that is scheduled for plenary debates this week: Office of the President, Office of the Vice President, Department of Agriculture, National Irrigation Administration, Department of Health, Department of Energy, Energy Regulatory Commission, Civil Service Commission, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Commission on Audit, Department of Transportation, Department of Social Welfare and Development, Congress, Department of Trade and Industry, Department of Public Works and Highways, Department of Education, and several executive offices. Before approving the budget on Wednesday, the House will hear terno and contra remarks by those proposed to the outlay, followed by the period of amendments, Romy-Altes' office said. Due to expected numerous amendment suggestions, the House, as in previous years, is expected to create a small committee to take charge of the proposals, it added. And dismissed Bama Mayor Alice Guo has the right to post bail, but both the Senate and the court will continue their respective investigations into her case, according to Senator Risa Hontiveros. Hontiveros also pointed out that nothing will change even after Guo, whose real name is Guo Huaping, posted 540,000 pesos bail. She has the right to post bail, but the investigation will carry on. Nothing will change. She's still facing non-bailable human trafficking charges. Until the court proves her innocence, when she will remain jailed, the senator said in a statement on Sunday. Last September 5, Tarlac Regional Trial Court Branch 109 issued a warrant of arrest against the former mayor for reportedly violating the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. This case was transferred from the Tarlac RTC to the Venezuelan RTC. It is now 9:10 in the evening, and we will return with another headlines right here on koolNews Primetime. So stick around. We will be right back. Thanks for still staying with us right here on koolNews Primetime. Let's continue with the headlines. After hundreds of pages exploded in Lebanon, the Philippine Embassy advised all Filipino nationals to leave the country while commercial flights are still available. The embassy issued a statement following the unprecedented explosions of beepers, resulting in at least 11 confirmed fatalities and over 2,800 injuries from September 17 to 18. Based on reports, the explosions predominantly occurred in the southern suburbs of Beirut, Lebanon, and the Bekaa Valley. Filipino nationals to consider leaving the country while commercial flights are still available. Your safety and well-being are of utmost priority. Those who intend to remain for any reason are advised to exercise extreme caution and remain in contact with the embassy, it said. For those who need assistance, the embassy can be contacted through the following numbers. For Embassy 18 hotline for permanent residents, it's 70858-086. And for Migrant Workers Office hotline for all workers, 79110-729. Again, for Embassy 18 hotline for permanent residents, it's 70858-086. And for Migrant Workers Office hotline for all workers, it's 79110-729. Let's get into the international headlines now, as pig farmer Alfredo Cavagnini has slaughtered 1,600 of his hogs due to swine fever, a virus threatening the 20 billion euro pork industry in Italy, including its world-famous prosciutto. The disease, which is fatal for pigs and disastrous for the economy, has particularly affected the northern regions of Lombardy, Piedmont, and Liguria, and it's spooking neighbor France. Italy recorded cases of the virus in just under 25,000 pigs and 50 farms, and in nearly 2,500 wild boars between January 2022 and September this year, official figures show. Cavagnini is lucky. The breeder from Brescia in northern Italy owns several farms, softening the blow from the cold, but many breeders only have one farm, so lose all their livestock, he told AFP. In 2024 alone, between 50,000 and 60,000 pigs were slaughtered across Italy. EU experts criticized Rome's management of the crisis after a visit to the Mediterranean country in July. The overall disease control strategy in northern Italy needs to be approved. Each region carries out its own measures with minimum coordination with its neighbors, they said in the report. Brussels recommended adopting a single strategy for the whole of northern Italy, and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government appointed a special commissioner to lay down the rules. The movement of pigs within affected and neighboring areas is banned, except towards slaughterhouses, while access to farms is limited to the bare minimum. At the moment, we are building barriers to create zones to limit the movement of wild boars, Francesco Feliciani from the National Reference Center for Swine Fever told AFP. France has been on high alert in areas that border northern Italy, particularly in the Hautes-Alpes, Lapes de Haute-Provence, and Alpes Maritimes since January 2022. And in June, an Italian-French technical group was set up to strengthen cross-border cooperation for more effective management of what is a major threat according to the French government. Those working in the Italian pork sector, which generates an annual turnover of 20 billion euros or $22 billion and employs 100,000 people, are very worried, at the Pirandini, head of Italy's biggest agriculture association, Coltretti, told AFP. Italian farms have around 10 million pigs and income losses are estimated at around 25 million euros, farmer Cavagnini said. Affected farmers will receive compensation from the state, which arrives on average 2 years later. But the virus also affects hundreds of breeders who cannot transport pigs between farms, suffering losses worth hundreds of millions of euros, which are not covered, Cavagnini said. Commissioner Giovanni Filippini said Thursday the government had adopted all measures to prevent the transmission of the virus, and there have not been any new outbreaks in recent days. But Prandini from Coltretti said farmers should be receiving greater financial assistance, such as a moratorium on loan repayments, and warned the virus may be curtailed but not gone. If we do not manage to completely eradicate the presence of wild boars in these areas, the risk is that the crisis passes but then returns, he said. The dinging bell of a drum rattling through the streets of the Italian city of Kolkata is all it takes for Deep Das to have the happiest moment of his day. There were times when there were frequent buses, but I still waited for the trams, the 18-year-old student said. But while their friends hailed the slow-moving transport system as the glory of the megacity and an integral part of how historic Kolkata grew, the 151-year-old network is under threat. A lack of the called latitude to maintaining the drum system has contributed to its slow decay. Thus, as among a group of enthusiasts called the Calcutta Drum Users Association fighting to protect the drums. CTUA leader and retired biochemist Debash B. Hattakaraya argues that city authorities risk losing a cheap transport solution with green credentials. The investment you require is minimal, B. Hattakaraya said, accusing politicians of ignoring the potential economic success of the drums. The life of the trams is 50 to 80 years, in contrast to 5 to 10 years for buses, and the operational running cost is minimal. The trams evoke the soul of the city for many, he said. This is the only city in area with tramways, he said. If this is removed, then this glory of not only the city, of the country will be lost, he warned. Introduced in a sprawling eastern city in 1873 during the early days of the Imperial British Jury, trams in Kolkata were initially horse-drawn, then steam-driven. Electric-powered trams took to the streets in 1900. The tram now rumbles on the serpentine roads in the city, waving its way through stubble traffic jams of vintage yellow taxis, trucks, buses, cars, and at times cattle. Sometimes trim infrastructure acts as poles for clotheslines, with laundry flapping in the breeze. The single-story trams, painted in uniform stripes of bright blue and white with a sunshine yellow top, trundle along at around 20 kilometers per hour, or 12 miles at best when they're not stuck in traffic. The state's West Bengal Transport Corporation argues its trams are cheap, safe, produce no sequence frames, and are economical, fitting 5 times more passengers than a bus, calling them part of the city's glorious past, present, and our future. Although it is true that their numbers have drastically come down, the Kolkata tram has managed to brave the odds, it argues. Rides are affordable at 7 rupees, which is 0.8 cents less than a cup of tea on the street and cheaper than the bus. But since they now run on irregular schedules, many commuters would rather pay more to be on time. While the tram has fixed tracks, India's free-style obedience to traffic rules means anybody and everybody can overtake it. So the tram has to give way, and the space to maneuver on the streets is zero. But for many passengers, it is a trip down memory lane. Teacher Ram Sim, age 54, said a ride reminded him of his childhood when the trams were a core part of the city's public transport system. We used to ride trams and get off after 1 or 2 stops, then we would get on the tram from the other side and get off from that too, he said, laughing. That way we will get our tram rides and also not have to pay for tickets. The trams now only function on 2 lines in the city compared to a once extensive network with scores of routes. At one site, thousands of rail cars stand derelict with rust swallowing their colors, some dating back to the 1940s. Cities should develop, but along with it, history should also be preserved, Slick said, calling the trams the city's old identity. Thus, groups holds community meetings, puts up posters, and tries to address the challenges the trams face. But his role also requires him to monitor breakdowns and electricity issues, something that reminds him starkly that the life of the trams may be coming to an end. Undeterred, he vows to fight for the future as far as he can. I love my trams more than I love myself, the said does. I will do whatever is possible. And let's get into the showbiz news. Despite his magnetic presence on screen, Joshua Garcia admitted that he was nervous when he was tapped to lend his voice to Les Slashblade in the Filipino dub of Inside Out 2. The actor was revealed as the voice behind Lance Slashblade, a macho yet insecure video game character whom Riley had a secret crush on when she was young. The superhero, armed with a massive sword, harbored a lot of inner doubts which initially stopped him from fulfilling his destiny. If Garcia could liken his thoughts to the film's emotions when the opportunity was offered to him, he could relate to fear and anxiety. I didn't know what to do. Every time I see animations, especially in Japanese anime, I have no idea how that voice dubbing works. It was a tiring experience, but I was excited, so I guess joy was there as well. One of the differences that Garcia noted in voice acting was the need to be more expressive in the recording booth compared to the subtlety he usually shows in films and TV shows. I thought it was easy. It's hard because you have to hold onto something while voicing out your emotions in a more expressive way. The acting in movies and TV is more subtle, but the emotions are bigger here. It was a nice experience because it made me realize that it's not easy to be a voice actor. It's a very difficult job. Garcia found himself relating to Lance despite the character's more Makata-like nature throughout the process. From the outside, Lance is the picture-perfect superhero, but he doesn't see himself as such. He's a famous hero in the role, so I guess that's how I can relate to him as an actor, whom a lot of people look up to, he said of his character. Touching on Len's insecurity, the actor confessed there was a time he wasn't sure if he's deserving of an admiration he received from the public. But like Lance/Blade, I'm not sure if people should look up to me. I experienced this kind of feeling as well, where I'm not sure what people see in me. He's not sure why he's chosen to be one of the most popular characters in the video game, even if he's not strong enough. Inside Out 2, which will be available for streaming on September 25, centers on Riley entering high school. Her brain's console containing her personified emotions, joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger, are joined by anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui. The animated coming-of-age film is currently the highest-grossing film of 2024. Once again, Inside Out 2 will be streaming on September 25 on Disney Plus, which will also be available in Filipino dub. And before we wrap up with on koolNews Primetime, we would like to announce that starting tomorrow, we will gradually move our studios to the brand new Cool Studios building. So be sure to look out on that one, since Hangout with Mama will be the first show to move to the new Cool Studios building, while my show, Asper's Coffee, will remain in the current studio for the time being, since the new studio of Asper's Coffee in the new building is still under construction. So once again, we will gradually be moving to the new building, so stay tuned for that one. And that is it for koolNews Primetime. As always, if you have any news suggestions or feedback that you would like to share, you can get in touch with us at tvhphilippines.news@gmail.com. And join us again for more news headlines tomorrow with koolNews at 4. Until then, I'm Carol. Have a great night, stay safe, and take care. Good night.